guys, Pam from Woolly Dragon again. Apparently I'm in the dark here. Oh well. So this is going to be, hopefully, a short video just showing kind of how I plant my garlic. Not anything, earth-shattering or anything like that, but, you never know when something that someone else might say may, put an idea in your head that, hey, maybe this is a good idea. Yeah, let's get out in the sunshine because it's a little chilly here. So this is October 25th. Sunshine almost always. No. Good God, let's not do that. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, sunshine. So as I was saying, you never know when an idea may strike. Now, it wasn't too long ago that I couldn't grow garlic or onions to save my life. Green onions, yes. Garlic, regular bulbing onions, not so much. Just whatever I was doing or not doing just wasn't jiving. I don't think I'm really actually doing anything differently. Maybe I'm choosing my varieties more carefully. I can admit the fact that the onion varieties that I chose probably weren't the best for my area. I'm one of those day neutral areas, but there's different gradients with the long day or the short day or the intermediate. Actually, back in the day when I first started trying to grow onions, and I admittedly did not keep up with trying for quite some time, I probably chose the wrong varieties. Probably just chose stuff that was at the grocery store, not the grocery store, but big box stores and plant centers and things like that. And those tend to be, I would like to think that the buyer for the individual stores would be a little bit more, cognizant of what varieties they should be buying for their area. But I don't know. I just don't know. I am not a buyer for any big box stores. But it does pay to do a little investigation of your own and go from there. So I am in Northeast Tennessee, and one of the extension specialists in Tennessee, Lucas Holman, who was in Crossville, I believe, he came to speak at one of the Master Gardener meetings back when I was in the Master Gardener Club, and he kind of gave a little, 411 on, planting garlic and even onions and things like that. And it that put a little light bulb into my head saying, hey, maybe I should be paying attention to that. And I did. Tennessee, especially where I am, Northeast Tennessee, we're kind of like in between garlic plantings. Basically with garlic, you have two main options. The hardneck garlic, which does better in the north, and the softneck garlic that does better in the south. Things that kind of prevent southern gardeners, and I'm talking about deep south, keep the northern or the southern gardeners from growing hardneck, is the fact that a lot of backlight. Let's try this way. I need a bench. No, that's even worse. Pardon me while I find my lighting spot. All right. Yeah, it's better, I think. So, two different basic varieties of the garlic, softneck and the hardneck. Southern gardeners have a hard time sometimes growing hardneck because that kind of garlic does require some cold during the winter. Some gardeners down there have bypassed this by putting the garlic in their refrigerator for a few weeks. And then northern gardeners have a problem growing softneck garlic because it's not as winter hardy. Luckily, where I am here in Tennessee, it's kind of in between those two. And so I grow both. The hardneck garlic is more winter hardy. The softneck garlic tends to have a little bit more not taste, but more garlicky. They tend to be more of the hotter types of garlic, and they store better. So I grow both just in case, should I ever have a winter where the softneck garlic gets totally destroyed, I'll still have the hardneck, that kind of thing. So far, with 4 years now, as of 2023, I've been able to successfully grow garlic. 50 odd years of gardening experience, and I've only had 4 years of, doing garlic. So, oh well, but we finally got it. One thing to pull off my bucket list. But anyway, so far I haven't had a problem. Last winter of 2022-23 was a pretty cold winter, but it was kind of fluctuated. We had temperatures down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit on Christmas Eve, and then we'd have periods where it went up into the 50s, 60s, and then again in April we had temperatures go down into the teens. So you just never know. And I thought, oh, so many things in my garden. I'm thinking, oh, they've all died. But most of them came back. The only thing that did not come back from this last winter was my, beloved rosemary plant. But I took cuttings from and was able to replace her. Bees all seem to do fine from all that. So it's kind of one of those things. You prepare for the worst and you hope for the best. That's pretty much the gardener's mantra these days. But again, I've not had any problems with the soft neck garlic, being able to grow it, and obviously not had problems with the hardneck. I do have noticed that the hardneck garlic does tend to start going bad, starting to rot earlier than the just heard a weird sound. It was like, what was it? Never mind. If I get attacked, it was an alien. But yeah, the hardneck garlic that I grew. Now, I should check this before I came downstairs to start this video, but the two varieties that I've got going, and have had it going for a few years now, one is Lorz Italian, and the other one is Spanish Roja. I think the Spanish Roja is the soft neck, and the Lorz Italian is the hard neck. Maybe. If it's wrong, I'll put it down in the notes down below. The one thing I would suggest you do if you get into growing, because a lot of times what sometimes hangs people up with growing garlic is finding the garlic to buy to actually plant. I hear a lot of times, people talking about, hey, is it okay to buy garlic in the grocery store? And then people all jump on them and say, no, you can't do that. Oh, if you do that, only buy the organic stuff. You do what you have to do. I have purchased grocery store garlic and planted it, and I've gotten garlic. I did an experiment one year. There was a garlic festival in Asheville, North Carolina, which is like about an hour and a half from me. And I went there and I bought it was like a little sample kit. It was actually very well done. I think it was like 6 different varieties and 2 bulbs of each variety. And the farmer had actually put them in like an egg carton so that there was a clove in each one of the little egg. I really like that. I don't know why that tickled me so much, but I just did. But I did those, and I did okay. Didn't notice anything special. I think one of the varieties was like music. And there were some other varieties. I think I have it written down somewhere, but nothing really magical, and they weren't really huge or anything like that. That was in 2019, I believe. Group planted those, got so-so results. Went ahead in 2020, after I had, harvested the garlic from that previous year, from the garlic festival. I went ahead and ordered from, I think it was Territorial Seeds. They have a pretty good garlic selection. And the two varieties that I chose were the Lorz Italian and the Spanish Roja. And they grew for me. They grew very well for me. So I was like, So I was like, okay, so what my big plan was, I was going to buy a new variety the following year, but also replant some of the Spanish Roja and the Italian. That never happened because there were shortages of garlic. This was 2021 by that point, which we all know what was going on in 2021. And, or was it 2022? No. 19 to 20, 20 to 21. Okay. Yeah, so it would have been the fall of 2021. And so I just planted the two that I already had. I chose, the one thing everybody tells you to do is when you're planting garlic that you have saved, plant the largest cloves that you've got to get larger bulbs the next year, which I did for the most part. I kind of fudged and just stuck stuff in there that I knew I wasn't going to be able to do anything with. And came back 2022, did the same thing last year, this year, and I'm going to continue doing it this year. Now, I would love to get a third variety in there just to see how things, if there's anything that's better than what I've currently have got going. But between the prices of the garlic, I mean, considering the fact that I can go to the grocery store right now and get a bulb of garlic, not organic or anything like that, but I can get a bulb of garlic for like 70 cents. It kind of, I don't know, it just kind of offends my pocketbook knowing that someone wants me to pay $12 for 2 bulbs of garlic and then to pay shipping on top of that. I mean, just doesn't jive. So I may be stuck planting these varieties from now on. I may go to another garlic festival and, buy garlic from a vendor there, something like that. But for right now, those 2 varieties do me well. So let me show you where I'm going to plant and my ideas for the spot. Okay, so here is the infamous cement block bed. This was where in the last video, the garden tour for October, where I had the ill-fated sweet potatoes. Here are some of the leavings from the sweet potatoes, and that's about the size of what the sweet potatoes were. And no, that entire bucket's not full of sweet potatoes. Those are just on top. So that's going to go back on the compost pile to reuse their nutrients. And so I have this bed. So this is basically, let's see, 32, 64, lost count, 78-ish. So it's about 6 feet long, maybe 3 feet wide. And it's a nice little bed. It's higher up than some of the others. I can sit on the edge. Getting back up is a little difficult sometimes, but still. And so I think what my idea was, usually this is my usual garlic planting bed. In the last 2 years, 3 years, I have planted this entire bed. and gotten a crap load of garlic, which is a good thing. But I just got through cutting back and storing and going through and weeding out bad ones, that kind of stuff. I'll be slowly over the winter, now that I've got the garlic, to where I can grab a few at a time and do whatever I need to do, whether it's freeze it or try and dehydrate or whatever it is I want to do. But I think instead of planting this entire bed, see here, I've got some carrots that I planted out. Is there anything coming up? Nope, not yet, but it is nice and moist, so we'll just put our board back there. I've not used the board maneuver before with carrots, so I'm just checking out and seeing. So it's not a very big area, but I may do a second spot on the other side next to it and go from there. But I think what I will do is, instead of doing this entire bed 6x3, I will only plant maybe half of it. And then the other half I will just mulch really well. And then in the spring, plant onions. One of the issues I had a pretty good harvest of onions last year, but what I did have a problem with was not knowing where or what varieties I was picking, because the name tags that I had put down next to them either got dislodged, whether it was wind, cats, other critters, whatever. But I think if I try and maybe keep them all contained to one bed, I'll have a little bit better time keeping track of who was where and what. So I think I'll do is I will plant basically half my normal amount of garlic, if for no other reason to keep up with my supply for my seeding for and planting for next fall. So I can just have like a big harvest, smaller harvest, alternating for the years. That might help. And then I'll get these planted. I'm not going to plant them today. I'll probably wait for this weekend, because after I'd pulled out all the sweet potatoes and everything, I put some fresh garden soil on the bed, and some fertilizer, some wood ash. Just kind of let that get in there. I come by every so often and spray down the soil. And yes, I know I should have this covered, but since I'm going to be planting it pretty soon, I'm not really worried. But so we'll plant half of this in garlic, and then the other half I will do onions, starting probably next March. Start getting them in here from seeds that I have planted inside in January. Have the entire bed mulched up with probably some straw. And so when it comes time, we'll come back and I'll show you just kind of a quickie method of how I plant my garlic. Again, not astronomically different from anyone else, but you never know. And plus, you just love to hear my voice. Hi guys. So it is now Saturday, October 28th. Happy birthday to me. I'm 29 again. This is my traditional time. I know, woo, party. Time to plant garlic on my birthday. I try to, as best I can, depending on what weather and things are going to happen. Our weather is going to start taking a turn right at about or at just after Halloween on Tuesday, to the point of, nighttime temperatures down in the mid-20s, which I really rather, the cool down period be a little bit more gradual, but that's East Tennessee for you. It's going to be 80 degrees today. A few days from now, it's going to be down highs of 40s. So, Yay me! So I want to get the garlic planted so it has time to get in there and get snuggly, and so I can get, mulch over the top, and still going to have some protection. Now, garlic is tough. It's going to make it, no biggie. Other things in the garden may or may not. I also need to mix up some BT spray and spray my broccolis and cabbages and things, because I see those dang white butterflies are out spreading their spawn, munching holes in my broccoli. Broccoli is not for the worms, broccoli is for me. So, yeah. So, best of all worlds, we have heat, humidity, cold and snow, wind, lots of bugs. But I'd rather live here than a lot of other places. And, close. I'm also going to post a little video, probably at the end of this one, I took a small little video, including me singing. You didn't know I had that talent, did you? La 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 la. Basically the full moon, well, almost full moon yesterday, almost right as it was starting to get dark. It was just coming up in the east, rising up in the east, and it was just, I had to take a picture, so. And of course I have to do voiceovers, and started singing some CCR. Hi Liz, bye Liz. So just gonna do a quickie showing me how I'm planting my garlic this year. As I said in the last segment, I'm not planting as much garlic as I did the year before last. And I'll show you. I see a bad moon rising. All right, that's enough of that. October 27th. Full moon technically is tomorrow on my birthday. But I thought that was kind of cool. So again, here's the garlic bed, quote unquote, otherwise known as the cement pond. Well, it's actually not. It doesn't hold water. It actually does a pretty good job of drainage. But usually in the past, I have planted this entire, what basically amounts to like a 6x3 planting space with garlic. And as you can see, I've got little sticks in here marking off. So I'm basically going to do half of the bed this year, or around half. So I've got it marked off, sort of kind of in a line here with these sticks. So this part over here, I'm planting in garlic. I've got that one little patch of carrots there under the board that have not sprouted quite yet. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I got it in kind of late. But it's the variety Kyoto Red from Baker Creek that I was meant to plant much earlier than just a week ago. But I took a chance in case we had the first frost of the year was going to be late or negligible. But I think being down the mid-20s 2 nights in a row is probably going to put a hamper on a lot of stuff. So I have a lot of stuff in beds that I probably need to harvest. The peppers, poor little tomatoes that are still continuing to put out leaves and tomatoes and flowers. Probably going to be dust by a few days from now. Hi, Bee. Say hi, Beaker. Say nope. Okay. But so I basically have this marked off, half the bed for garlic and then half of each, since I have 2 varieties. I'll plant one variety to the left of the stick and the other variety on the right side of the stick. And then since I'm growing one variety that's hardneck, the Spanish Roja, I think I mixed that up in the last segment. Spanish Roja is the hardneck, which is the more cold tolerant of the two. And that is, nope, that's the Spanish Roja, which has the bigger bulbs. And then that's the Lorz Italian, which is the softneck, that isn't as cold tolerant. But so, you know, as I said before, I haven't really had a problem yet with softnecks surviving my 7-day winters yet. But I've just watered this bed a little bit, just kind of get it damp. I'm going to let it sit here for a second or two to soak in a bit, and then we'll get to planting. Okay, so first thing I need to do is separate the cloves from the bulb. This is the Lorz Italian, and several different ways you can tell that this is a soft neck. Usually with hardneck garlics, the cloves are arranged in just a single file, you know, a single row going around the stem or the neck of the garlic. And this is the little base that I pulled it all off of, and you can see there's no stem coming up through it. Now the good thing about soft neck garlic is that you get more cloves, but you also get smaller cloves. So this is a more external one from the outside, and then these kind of long, narrow kinds, you know, you can plant them, but the rule of thumb is to try and plant the largest of the bulb. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got 3 bulbs of the soft neck garlic here. I'm going to go ahead and separate all 3 bulbs of it, and then plant the ones that are the largest cloves. The larger cloves will generally get you larger bulbs the next year, which, you know, it's kind of one of the things you shoot for. No one wants to, you know, spend, you know, the time and energy to get this stuff planted and then baby it and pretty much hold hostage an entire bed for, you know, 8 or 9 months just to have puny little tiny little bulbs and things like that. So if you choose the biggest bulbs, which generally means that you're probably going to sacrifice some of the bigger cloves that you would use for eating, but again, I have so many bulbs of garlic there that it's not going to be an issue, I don't think. So some of the things about soft neck versus hard neck. Soft necks generally tend to store better. They'll last a lot longer. I noticed when I was cleaning up the garlic from after I picked it, I had actually waited a little too long. I just cleaned up all the garlic, cut off the stems and the roots, the dead roots, and pulled off some of the outer skin that was all covered in dirt and that kind of stuff. And I did notice that the Spanish Roja, which is the hard neck, there were more bulbs of that variety that had started to rot as opposed to the hard neck, the soft neck here. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get these all separated, and I'll start on the hard neck. Okay, so here's the hard neck, and you can kind of see how they have this hard stem. They all have the stem that the leaves, the little strappy leaves, grow off of. But in the hard neck garlic, it's gotten hard enough to be an actual stick as opposed to just a little floppy stem that the soft neck garlic has. And you can see how the garlic in hard neck just kind of grows in a single concentric circle around the stem. So what you see is what you get, as opposed to the soft neck where you get larger cloves on the outside and then smaller and smaller as you go in toward the center. And it's, you know, it is what it is. It's your personal preference. I like the hard necks just because I know that if we get a super duper extra heavy cold winter this year that goes on and on and on, as opposed to just intermittently, you know, a few days here and there, and then regular just East Tennessee, you know, 40s during the day, you know, high 20s or 30s at night and stuff like that. You know, both the varieties will be fine. But, you know, if we get, like we did last winter and had 0 degrees on Christmas Eve night, you know, but the soft neck came back as well as the hard neck. So I plant both varieties. I like them each for different reasons. I actually like planting the hard neck for the scapes. If you pick them early enough when the little scapes are still tender and they haven't started trying to actually flower yet, you can chop those up, you know, whiz them up in a food processor with some butter to make a green garlic butter. It's kind of tasty. But, so that's what a hardneck garlic looks like when you start peeling it. Okay, I got real excited when I saw this clove as I was taking it off, until I turned it over and realized there was 2 kind of melded together. I may just go ahead and plant that entirely because it does seem to have one basal thing. We'll see what happens. But so here's my hardneck garlic. Some of the cloves were starting to deteriorate, weren't looking so happy, so I went ahead and discarded them entirely. You'll notice that the outermost covering for the Spanish Roja is this kind of brownish color, and that's the other way I know how to distinguish it from the Lorz Italian. It has a little bit of reddish flair to it. So this guy, I don't know if it has hybrid, you know, kind of mutated itself, so it's not quite as red. Usually, well, there's a little bit. You can kind of sort of see a reddish or a purpley cast to the white, but that's because of the brown underneath it. And yep, so that's my Spanish Roja. You'll notice that the cloves are larger than it was on the soft neck, but there are fewer cloves. And it's not just because I had to toss a couple. Just fewer but bigger cloves. So that's the other big difference between soft neck and hard neck, is you get, I don't want to say quality versus quantity, but you get bigger as opposed to more, I guess. And how I think about it is I would rather peel 1 larger clove of garlic than 3 smaller. Just me, but it's all good. And so I've got these all separated out. I'm not going to be able to plant all of this, and I may decide, do I really want to waste all these nice large cloves? I may increase the size of my garlic planting and decrease the size of my onion planting. So, decisions. All right, a planting we shall go. So I've already started planting, and what I try and do is go ahead and mark out the holes. First of all, you're shooting for, you know, a good 6 inches apart for the cloves. The more space you can give garlic, the more room. And if you have something like elephant garlic or something like that, you know, you want to give it even more room, 8 or 9 inches. But I didn't really measure. That's about 6 inches. But you'll notice I kind of do it in a grid. So I've got 3 rows, and they're kind of alternating. So there's 2, 4, 7 in one little spot. So there's going to be 20 garlic cloves here. And I've started planting some, but if you're asking what I use to make these holes, now if you were doing this in the ground and the dirt was, you know, hard, you know, if it was hard pan or something like that, you'd want to use some kind of thing to kind of loosen up. Hopefully you'd be, you know, putting in amendments and things like that to help make the soil a little bit fluffier. But with this raised bed, and I just put in some more soil and amended it with, you know, some fertilizer and things like that a week ago, it's fluffy enough still that this is my hole digger. Now, yeah, it's not practical if I was planting, you know, several rows and hundreds of garlic cloves. But let's see, we're going to have 20 of these kind, depending, probably another 20. So I'm going to end up with like 40 cloves of garlic next year if they all come up, which is going to be plenty because I'm still going to have stuff left over from this year's planting. No biggie. So when you plant your garlic, this is what your little clove's going to look like. This is the basal end where you can see that's where it was attached to the actual root system. So this little flat end is where the roots are going to come out of, and that's the pointy end. That's going to be the top of the garlic. So you're always going to want to plant the flat side down, the pointy side up. So where did I leave off here? All right, so here's garlic clove number 6. And just going to push it in here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going up to the end of my finger, getting it in as deep as I can. So it's, you know, you can see the little ends sticking up a little bit, but there's a good 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the top. And that's going to be deep enough. As the plant grows next spring, it's gonna send most of its energy up, you know, into producing roots. And then depending on the kind of winter we end up having, you know, we might have, yeah, it's a little bit big for that hole. We might have, after this cold spell, we might not have a lot of cold until, you know, after the new year. And we'll get some top growth, but all right, so this is the double one. Let's find a good hole for that. Don't want to mush it too much. And there's another one. I know my big old arm's in the way. So that's what you do. Use up your good cloves first. The big ones, which I'm not doing so well at doing. You're doing an instructional video here, Pamela. But you want to push them down as far as you can gently so they actually make contact with soil underneath. Two more, I think. All right. And just do a quickie to make sure I didn't miss because I was too busy jabbering. All right, so that's the hardneck planted. Let's go start on the softneck. Okay, that's garlic planted. Now the softneck, my dividing line was such when I got to the middle post that I was able to actually add an extra row. They're a little bit closer spaced together than the hardneck garlic, but that's okay. So I ended up with 20 hardnecks and 26 of the, or 27, 26. 13. All right, So 26 of the soft necks, 20 of the hard necks. And that's plenty of garlic. Especially coupled with the fact that, you know, I'm giving some to my parents probably. And it'll allow me to have some seed stock for next year. Hello, big old butterfly. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Yeah, you better fly away home, butterfly, because it's going to get cold here in a few days. Just don't get on my broccoli. All right, so now I have to cover the holes. And I could cheat and just go into my garage and get my rake, or I can just do it by hand. Some of them have already started collapsing on themselves as it rains. You know, it'll cover more. Right. And you'll notice too that I didn't plant right up to the edge of the cement blocks, because the cement can hold in the cold a little bit. So I didn't want to get too close to it and just freeze these ones on the end. Again, you know, this was the way I did it last year, and everyone was hunky-dory by the time spring got around. And you'll also notice, so here's what's left of my 3 bulbs of softneck garlic. Several more cloves left, but they're all kind of smaller. So these guys I was particularly careful about planting the larger ones. And then on my hardneck, I ended up with 3 extras. So they won't go to waste. I'll take them upstairs and peel them right now. And all right. The great garlic planting of 2023 is over. Don't know what you are, but we'll get you out of there. All right, so now I'm going to cover with some straw. I'll go ahead and cover this end too, just to provide a little blanket. And then I will spray it down, the straw down with a hose. Now, I bought that straw from Tractor Supply last spring, thinking, ooh, this is the really good stuff. It won't have any seeds in it. Was I wrong? If I had really wanted to, I probably could have had, not sure if that's oat or wheat straw. Does it say? Does it say? Biodegradable, compostable, from Idaho. Forage, weed-free sport. At least that's nice. At least I don't have to worry about having other noxious weeds from Idaho in my garden. But I do have to worry about oats or wheat, whichever that might be. But yeah, it was a little kind of combination of annoying and kind of elementary school fun, seeing all this grass coming up where I didn't actually want. But I'll show you the end result. So here's the bed that I had. Once I managed to pull up the weeds, you know, yeah, I need to get the BT going for you guys. Oh man, now I just come through 2 days ago and picked off all the caterpillars I could find. Obviously not. Well, if the cold doesn't kill you guys off, the worms will. We'll see. My Brussels sprouts, everything's gotten eaten. All right, well, let's hope the big freeze next week kills all these dang flutterbys. All right, so I'm going to put straw down, wet it down with a hose so it doesn't fly away if we get a windstorm or anything. And that's pretty much it. I already went ahead and applied fertilizer and some wood ashes like 10 days ago, mixed it in real good. And I've come out here every other day or so and just kind of wet it down so it can get down in there and start breaking down. So the wee beasties will be breaking all that down over the winter. The garlic will be putting down its little roots, probably sending up some green shoots too, if past years or anything to go by. But that's it. And then springtime comes, I give them some probably some compost tea fertilizer that'll be heavy on nitrogen to get that green growth going. And then right around May or so, I'll give it another dose of balanced fertilizer to get a little potash and phosphorus in there for the bulb development. And then I harvest, and I do this all over again next October for my birthday. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll slip in a quick picture of what it looks like after I get everything, but I don't think you'll get any enjoyment out of me spreading straw down, and you wouldn't be able to see me anyway because I'd have to do it one-handed, and I can't do really anything one-handed these days, especially holding a camera. And that sounded really weird, but never mind. I'll show you the end result. All right, so that's the end product. Get down here. See all the straw is kind of damp. And what my hope is that there will be enough warm temperatures that whatever seeds may still be in this straw. I'm hoping that being in the garage all summer long and getting kind of hot, letting the sun beat down on it, would kill some of the weed seeds that are in there. Not hopeful, but if it does happen and the seeds start sprouting before it gets really, really cold for long periods of time, that it'll sprout out a little bit, and then it'll winter kill and just become part of the straw. But that's it. And then there's my little square of potential carrots if they decide they want to come up. This little area to the left of the sticks hasn't had anything planted in it, but I've got the straw covering it just to protect it from winter, and pretty soon the straw will start breaking down with the sun and wind and rain and stuff like that. Will start breaking down, and I will, if need be, come by and cover it up. But even if the garlic does start coming up and it gets cold, if anything does die back, it'll just send up more later on. So far, at least, knock on wood. Okay, guys, so that was it for birthday garlic planting. I hope some of this helped you. If it didn't, and you know everything about garlic, you can elucidate me on what I may have done wrong, but I probably won't listen because, I'm old and crotchety. So everyone have a great one. And if I get inspired, I may show a video of me trying to clean up and winterize certain things. May even show you me murdering cabbage worms with Bacillus thuringiensis spray. I really hate those things. The butterflies are so pretty, but do they have to be that destructive? I mean, come on. Surely there are other things that can eat. Possibly I'm the only person in the neighborhood that's growing a fall garden or trying to. So, by now you'd think those little buggers would be dead. But it's also going to be 80 degrees today, supposedly. So far it's okay, but... All right. One thing I can take off of my bucket list, not my bucket list, my to-do list, and about 50 million other things to put in its place. Progress, right? All right, guys, have a great one.